him away from the crowd.
Hello everybody and welcome to the 2015 WCS Premier League for StarCraft 2. We're live from Burbank, California. My name is Smix and I'll be your host, and with me we have Greetorp. We had a crazy first day. Are you ready for another day of StarCraft 2?
I don't think my body can ever be ready for WCS round of 32, man. I mean, yesterday was insane. Wasn't expecting the level of play that we saw, and today I think it's going to be even better for Legends, for Titans in their own respect.
Yeah, I definitely agree. As you just mentioned, yesterday was Group A, where we saw Bunny and Petraeus are the first two players that made it onto the round of 16. Of course, we are in the round of 32, which means today will be Group B, and next week Group C and D will be played out. The last four groups will be played out in Cologne, Germany. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Today is all about Group B. Now, Group B features 4 players, and looking at these 4 guys, there's a commonality here. These guys have all been playing since StarCraft 1.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. A lot of times, you know, the StarCraft Brood War guys, they just have a certain level of, I want to say, like, zealousness about practicing, about getting better at stuff. Not that other players don't, it's just they're used to it. They're used to being on that grind since 1999, which is a long time. These guys have done it, seen it all. They're veterans.
Yeah, and looking at this group, obviously 4GG to me is the player that stands out as the clear favorite. You know, it's funny to say that because Stardust is a champion in his own right, but we just haven't seen much of him lately.
That's right. I mean, ever since last year, really, he hasn't been in much. I mean, we saw him finally in WCS for this particular season, and then he just actually sprung up for Gfinity. Now, I know he has moved. He's moved to Atlanta, Georgia now, so he is kind of displaced. He's not in his comfort zone, and a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know if Koreans are going to perform too well, but 4GG has performed just fine over in Europe.
Yeah, well, this group does feature 4 players. We did mention 4GG and Stardust. The other 2 players are Toodming and Sen, so let's take a look at a video that lets us get to know these players better.
WCS Round of 32 Premier League continues with Group B. This group features legends from each of their respective regions. Featuring Zenith of Origin, Toodming, the Chinese legend from both StarCraft Brood War and StarCraft 2.
Forest of his Toodming bringing his A game in the first map of this best of 3.
And Stardust, DreamHack winner and one of the most accomplished players in StarCraft 2.
Congratulations, GG! Stardust is the champion with a 4-0!
Millennium's 4GG, the dominant legend of all time in both StarCraft Brood War and StarCraft 2, ranked number 2 in the world on Aligulac.
4GG takes the series 2-0.
Perfect execution game number 1 and perfect number 2.
And finally, Hong Kong Attitude's Sen, the long reigning king of the Taiwanese scene.
Give it up for Sen!
Group B is the Battle of Asia and the Battle of Legends.
You know, Greetorp, I said this yesterday, but that voiceover, man.
I know. I wonder who did that. Very handsome sounding. I do think so.
Yeah, just a very familiar voiceover here. But all jokes aside, obviously, watching that video, all of these guys have been very successful in their own right. It's just been a difference of where the success has taken place.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, in StarCraft 2, we have right now Stardust living in America, Sen living in Taiwan, Toodming living in China, and of course 4GG living in Europe. And all of them dominate their own regions. But of course, all of them coming together here, it's just a huge pile of amazing talent. I know you said 4GG is the clear favorite here, but if you told me 4GG doesn't make it out of this group, I'd be surprised, but not really. Like, it's really, these guys are really capable of taking on veterans, because if you think about it, if you have that much experience, you have the capabilities of like knowing good cheeses and finding ways to exploit your opponents. And these guys are vets, man. They've been around the scene for a very long time.
Well, speaking of these guys, the first two players of our first match, it'll be Toodming and Stardust. Now, this should be interesting. Stardust is someone we've seen very, very often. You know, he's a WCS champion. In fact, he's the only WCS champion in this group. He's also a previous DreamHack champion. He has been very successful in StarCraft 2. Very familiar name. He has made a name for himself. Toodming, I feel like, is the guy that really needs to step up here. Not in the sense that we don't know who he is, but most of his success has taken place over in China. And I actually hear, Greetorp, that he is ranked 20th on the Korean ladder, which is no easy feat.
No, not at all. And I mean, if you're playing on the Korean ladder, you know you're going to be one of the best in the world. But the question still is, are you limited to a lot of strategies? We talked about it yesterday. You're compartmentalized in a certain region. Once that happens, you don't have the complete meta of the world. You don't understand how to play every single matchup the way an American would play it or a European would play it. I think a lot of it comes down to being able to be versatile in these really high-tier tournaments. And it can be hard to when you're stuck in China.
Yeah, and I actually spoke to him beforehand because I wanted to get a feeling of where he stood before his games today. And he stated that he has been doing really well on the Korean ladder. And when I wanted him to elaborate a little more, he said that he has some secret strategies that he has prepared for us today. So we'll see if he has any secrets for us. And I don't know, this match can be a little tricky because Stardust is someone who has had a lot of success, but we haven't seen him for a while. So he needs to show us, is he back to where he used to be, or is he still on his way up there?
Yeah, both of them are wild cards for sure. I know that sounds crazy to say, but Stardust, because we haven't seen him, and then, of course, Toodming, because we haven't seen him either. He's in the Chinese scene. It's not really like immersed into the rest of the world, so we don't really know exactly what his play styles are. All we do know is these guys are going to bring it. These guys are aggressive. They like to put the pressure on each other, and we can expect a lot of great things.
Yeah, great things indeed. It is time for us to get this first game of the day started. Let's head over to the gentleman at the casting desk, Nathanius and Huck.
Thank you very much, Smix. We are ready for another day, day 2, Group B. And, of course, I get to see my favorite player later on, 4GG. How are you doing, Huck?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Yeah,
I get to see 4GG, man. Well, I mean, I've been on the 4GG hype chain for a long time. But how about you and the Protoss in this group?
I think they're going to struggle, to be honest. I mean, I think 4GG and Toodming are the favorite. Stardust, I know I've spoken to a little bit. He feels like he's getting back into shape, but he's not at the point he was when he won a DreamHack. But they're all legends, right? Yeah. Legendary players. So I'm looking forward to some legendary games.
I mean, these are the kind of guys that you imagine that climb those mountains of StarCraft to reach the echelons.
Slaying dragons.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. Along those lines, at the very least. Stardust, I haven't seen him actually play much PvZ. There's no other Protoss in this group. You know, the last match I saw him play was a PvP.
Yeah,
but,
where he beat another legend.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
I mean, the other legend kind of lost. There's like some lag issue or PC issue. I can't remember exactly how it went.
Things happen from time to time. But basically, he doesn't have another Protoss to play against. Yeah. How is his PvZ of Stardust style? Because we haven't seen him play in so long.
In the qualifiers, to be honest, he struggled a lot, PvZ and PvT.
He lost to 2 American Terran players in the qualifying brackets.
Qualifiers, he struggled very early on. I think he only made it the last qualifier, actually. Yeah. And it was off of PvPs, I want to say. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, who cares?
Let's go. Let's roll with it, Hawk.
Yeah, whatever. But all in all, I feel like this is going to be a really tough match for Stardust. And I think Toodming has been practicing really hard. As Sue said, that he is top 25 on GM in Korea. And he's got his nice little line haircut. I actually got a funny story.
Hey, dude, Toodming's such a baller.
He last time I think I saw him in like a mainstream tournament was at Red Bull, where he lost to a legendary player. Me, of course. And and he said he doesn't like my short hair. He says that he misses the old Huck with the long hair because it looked like a lion's mane.
You used to have pretty badass hair, Huck.
Yeah, thank you.
That was the first thing I noticed when you came into cast, that it was so short.
Yeah, thanks, man. What was that? What was that awkward silence?
So was that the whole story?
No, and then he just said that he got his haircut. It kind of looks like resembles a lion, like him and Stardust. I don't want to go on like a little wolf tangent here, but they got similar. The short hair and then the long kind of on top.
Stardust is just we're making sure Stardust peripherals are working 100% right now. So
we got time to talk about hair.
I'd love to hear what you have to say about Toodming's hair.
No, I like it.
I think it's great.
I think on Asians specifically, that like shorter you know, on the edge and then the like thicker, longer on top. If you can style
I think
it correctly.
Toodming's come in with the most style of all the Chinese qualifying players, especially.
Yeah, I mean, Jim.
I mean, he doesn't really like
I want to
go
call
for
you out a
flair.
little bit. Yeah.
But Jim doesn't go for flair on the style.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Toodming's
That's what I was saying.
nicely.
Like Toodming is the most stylish. Not that the.
I agree.
Yeah.
So this group in general, a weird aspect I want to talk about a little bit is that they're very experienced. Obviously, it's a really hard group. Maybe the group of death, some people have said, but it is like an older group. Like, if anything, I would consider this also the retirement group.
This group B is the retirement.
Almost.
home?
I mean, like, we got what? Age 24, 26, 28, and 25. I mean, if White Raw would have made it into this group, it would have just that would have been the cherry on the top almost. Look at this guy. Stylish. Stylish.
Yeah, this is baller.
No, leave it on, man. Leave it on. He's got kind of like that dark, I don't know, what, baseball kind of look?
Yeah, man. He came to party after. It's like when you have to play your StarCraft match at 12 and then hit the club at 2.
Yeah. All right, so these vetoes, interesting. Echo, I'm really surprised by that. I feel like that's one of the most comfortable maps for most players. Not even like racially, just like in general, most people feel very comfortable on that map.
Why would Toodming veto Vonnie Research Station?
Maybe he's not comfortable playing on gold bases. I feel like whenever there's a gold base on a map, it works out in the Zerg's favor. Even if they don't want to use it, it's still a threat.
But for Toodming to veto it is what I...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't really make sense. So maybe he's just not comfortable with gold base play?
Now, in a lot of the games that I've seen of Toodming that we watched him play, playing in America last year, he does like to be all over the place. He's one of the few Zerg players that completely stood off of Swarm Host play against Protoss.
And he did like very interesting stuff as well.
He loved heavy Roach Ling play, heavy counter-attack run-by type style.
Yeah.
So
even
maybe,
like Overlord drops and stuff too, like really weird stuff.
Yeah, if he's not going to play a passive style, then maybe vetoing Vonnie's like, well, it's hard to do harass on Vonnie if the Protoss takes it slow, you know?
Yeah. But looks like we are getting loaded into this game.
Yeah, we're starting this series off on Coda for this Protoss versus Zerg. This is the first match, ladies and gentlemen, of Group B of the World Championship Series, Season 2 Premier League. Spawning in the northwest position as the Red Zerg player, representing Zenith of Origins, we have Toodming. Like I said, just looks like a baller hog.
Yeah.
And his opponent in the southeast, currently teamless in blue, he is Stardust.
That's something actually to discuss a little bit too. If you do really well here, make it into Toronto, that could secure you a nice contract with the team, you know? I mean, that's the biggest thing about players getting signed to teams is what your image, one, and two, how good you are. I mean, if you're winning WCS, then most likely you're going to get signed to a...
It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, kind of.
I think that's a really interesting point to bring about, since Stardust has been, you know, like as we said, like on a bit of a hiatus for the last few months, not really showing up at tournaments, competing as much. He kind of said, and you know, as he was beginning the qualification process for Season 2 of WCS, that he was waiting for this, and he passed up other opportunities to other tournaments to make this happen, to get his visa sorted out so that he could come and play.
I guess that's just the case with going through the visa pains, because Jaedong was the same way, right? And now Jaedong's playing in a lot of tournaments. But it does hurt not having a team as well now, because you never want to pay your own way to go to a tournament, right?
Yeah.
It's like a gamble, it's a risk. And unless you're confident you can win, then...
Yeah, that's a pretty big risk to have to take. So talk to me about Protoss versus Zerg on Coda. Is the second opening to the third base a big deal for Stardust? Is he going to be looking for some sort of two-base play, or is he going to be more worried about Toodming getting aggressive?
I think he's going to be more worried about Toodming getting aggressive. Like, that's the thing about these Chinese players, like I said yesterday as well. They really just don't have that much information. I mean, Stardust, he has at least the qualifier VODs that Toodming can pick through and, you know, see what kind of weaknesses he has. But in general, Stardust plays a very standard style. He wants to get Colossus, he wants to get the, you know, gateway units, mix it in, and then just do like kind of a timing attack, counter Vipers with High Templar, and then if they go Phoenix, go, you know, Blink All In or Phoenix. He's like kind of a aggressive player, but at the same time reactionary. And Toodming's more like Pandora's box, I guess. You really don't know what's going to come out of him. And that's a scary thing to play against.
Yeah, Toodming's taking it pretty straightforward. What do you think about this third base? Toodming going for the fast third hatchery up front.
Yeah, that's
exactly what you're talking about. You're just like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, like I have no idea. I guess He wants to be closer. I guess it's an easier choke to hold the watchtower, but at the same time...
You spread the creep further up, right? If he really wants to be aggressive, it's like a fat, putting that base there with the creep.
Yeah, but
it's like a
swarm hosts aren't even the same either, though.
Yeah.
So it's
well,
kind of...
I mean, his roaches there faster.
Yeah. And Stardust is actually not going to even scout it. Wow, this is pretty big.
But he didn't scout for the other third either. Do you think there's a reason why he didn't check for any third?
I don't know.
Game paused.
We're going to have a slight pause here.
As hopefully everything is okay. Stardust PC. But already, I guess we could say a reasonably interesting start to this game.
Yeah, I'm going to watch the players like a hawk so we don't say anything
I got my eyes on Chris. Okay.
I see you, Stardust.
Don't
you take those headphones off.
Stardust is ready to go, actually, he already said. So he was just double checking his sound settings in game, it seems
Turning
like.
on some T-Swift. He wants to feel it.
He's like, actually, Kane gave me his mixtape. It's like, but I realized that he lost, so I had to change it up at the start of this. Like, I realized it in the first game. Don't want to listen to the same song as that guy. All right, well, we are back in the game. It has resumed, so these guys are going back at it once again. And yeah, he's got this probe patrolling here, Hawk. What is he doing with this probe?
Whenever you're hiding a probe like that, especially because he has the Zealot moving across the map, I immediately want to think he's hiding it and he wants to throw down like a pylon later to scout, because if he really wanted to see the third base, he's not really in any danger just to keep it out on the map against slow links, you know? It's just not an issue for him. And until they have speed, you're not really worried about losing your probe to slow links. But it looks like he should. Oh, is he still not going to see this third base?
He doesn't even see the creep. He doesn't even catch like the slightest glimpse of it.
And that's really bad because he's just going to be really, really confused.
You run over this third, you're like, are you two basing?
Yeah, now you're going through your head. You're like, okay, is this two base Muta? Is this two base Nidus? Is he doing some Roach all in? He just has no idea.
I mean,
he's gonna notice now.
He should know.
He's gonna know now.
It's like, well, why would a queen be waddling in this direction? That tells him a little bit, but he wouldn't have made any reaction by at that point, right?
I don't know. In my head, I would start like thinking I'd be very confused. But now it doesn't change anything. Yeah, it doesn't change anything for him. And he's just gonna push out with the Stalker, kind of harassing. The reason he can do this is just...
I mean, there's no link speed. He opens gasless.
Yeah, so he's not afraid. And we're going to see the Citadel, but so is Toodming. And I don't think Toodming's going to let Stardust know that he sees it. And at the same time, Stardust is going to, also build a Warp Prism. So it seems like Stardust wants to open up with just like some slight harassment with the Warp Prism, kind of threaten something, and then maybe fall into what, perhaps DT.
Well, look at
Link. I don't understand the position here. This is a very common Overlord spot.
Yeah, and he knows.
Yeah, Toodming for sure knows. And I don't understand the positioning on the Citadel, to be honest. And he's going to go DTs. This is like the worst case scenario.
Okay, but so for Stardust, this Warp Prism play, perhaps it's because of the third base, you think? Since he can go up and down pretty easily if he
and he just wants to like put on some aggression, keep Toodming on the back foot.
He really likes not hiding stuff, though. Like, he's run into the path. He just flew straight over the Watchtower with Lings on it. Like, everything that Stardust is doing right now is within a reasonable...
He's telegraphing everything.
Yeah. He's like he's just playing this with like, yeah, you can just see everything. Because he sees the Dark Shrine, too.
Yeah. And the worst is that he doesn't know that Toodming knows. So Toodming is...
He flies in, warps in his sentry, nothing here to receive him, and he can just...
Like, Toodming's not even scared. When usually this happens, when you see a Warp Prism, you're like, you're worried about 5-6 gateways, like 4 sentries dropping, that ramp being blocked off. But Toodming knows the DT Shrine's going down. He knows that this isn't like a large commitment gateway units. It's just
he only
literally
has 2
sentry.
Yeah, he was only on 2 gateways.
So he wasn't
for the
afraid.
Time.
He saw the Warp Prism fly by. He was like, I know you don't have anything. I know this is a bluff. I'm just waiting for the DTs. So Toodming's playing very calm, and he knows exactly what's going. And Stardust, like, building a Immortal halfway and then canceling it.
Yeah, it seems very...
kind of all over the place right now.
This kind of makes me think back to what you were saying before this series started, where he's not entirely comfortable going into this group.
And Toodming has Zerglings, but he's
got the Overseer. He's got the Overseer.
Yeah, so he should be okay. Now, on creep, though, he's still going to catch these DTs. And now what? You just lost 3 DTs? That's...
Yeah.
Toodming's up 11 workers. Yeah. He has 3 bases. He's not worried about anything. And at the same time, he knows.
What can Stardust even do at this point? He's starting up the Immortal again.
I think he needs to try to take a 3rd base. Because at this point...
He shouldn't be able to kill him.
Yeah, and Toodming knows, like, there's not going to be, like, Phoenixes and Oracle. There's not going to be a strong commitment Immortal all-in or anything. It's just, this is it. This is all he has. And he's going to actually let a lot of Lings up. If he committed a little bit more to the Warp Prism, he could make this work. But Hydras are going to be out soon. If he gets a good amount of Hydras in the main base, even if he has to pull drones, he should be able to hold.
As long as he uses the larva in his main to build the Hydras, then the force field shouldn't be too much of an issue.
But good aggression, to be honest. Stardust actually putting in a decent amount of pressure, and Toodming's going to at least have to pull drones for a little bit. But I don't think it's going to hold long term.
Yeah, the Hydras are coming closer and closer to finishing now. Another sentry gets warped in to try to keep this ramp held. There they are.
And now he needs to pull drones. He needs to pull... Oh, and he lets in like 10 Zerglings, and that's going to be enough to at least clean up the Zealots.
Yeah, and as soon as the Zealots are gone, the sentries aren't going to be too much bigger of a deal.
But another,
they're not in position to get the ramp either.
And he doesn't close the ramp off. So, I mean, good aggression. He does, like, distract Toodming for a little bit, I guess, and he does kill a good amount of drones, 3, 4, maybe 5 from the beginning as well, but he's still behind.
Yeah, he somehow, at least he gets to keep the Dark Shrine, if he were even going to use it again, I guess. Stardust is floating a lot of minerals, Huck. He's not gone up to too many more gateways either. Yeah.
And this was the same thing in the qualifier.
Look, he's not even saturated. One of his assimilators is missing a probe.
He just feels...
On his main. If the probe is actually just sitting there.
I hate to say it, but it feels really shaky. This was the same thing as the qualifier. He was floating, you know, over 1,000 minerals within, you know, the first 10 minutes. He's not in horrible shape. He can, of course, just do like 1 or 2 warp-ins, throw down a Nexus, and all of a sudden it looks like his macro is perfect. But at the same time, if you're going to open up aggressively on 2 base, you should make a, you know, a bigger commitment than what he has.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Like this 3rd base.
Yeah, and he throws on the 3rd base, 2 pylons. He can do 1 more warp-in, and, you know, he's pretty much...
Is the switch into Colossus going to be enough to stop a potential push from Toodming? Like, Toodming's working on the rocks by this 3rd. Can he actually hold this base?
It's really hard to say. He probably won't even have range by then, so the Hydralisk can almost...
range,
yeah, the Hydralisk can almost just fight head-on. And at the same time, the new meta, PvZ, especially in Korea, is you don't even get Colossus. You just go Blinkstalkers +2... Force Fields parting style, and then you transition into High Templars to counter the Vipers, and you kind of skip the Colossus, but we'll see. It's going to be close. The Colossus is going to come out probably before he takes a head-on-head engage with his full army, but it's a lot of Hydras. And at the same time, he's dropping with the Warp Prism, but it's almost going to die, and there's already Zerglings in preparation to receive it.
The Hydras are wailing away on this Nexus. The army for Stardust is not moving to defend this.
He needs to save that Nexus. At this point, if he kills the Nexus, he could sack a good amount of his army as long as he doesn't get completely wrecked.
Yeah, he's still focusing the Nexus down. He will pick it off. The Colossus is here, as you mentioned, though, Huck, without that range upgrade. So with the Priestbird that Toodming had, he still trades out his forces to a reasonable degree. The 2 cannons here anchor nicely, like the Immortals in the back as well.
Decent force fields. Mothership's going to go down, drops a Time Warp. So, like, Stardust is trading okay, to be honest. He still has the 3 Immortals. He still has the Colossus. He has the big units. But he lost his 3rd base, and now he's kind of forced to do a little bit of more damage. And if he doesn't, he's still 3 base versus 2 base. And meanwhile, you know, Toodming continues to tech up, continues to get good upgrades. And Stardust just, I don't know, he feels a little behind if he can't do damage with this army.
Yeah, he's being pushed to a point of desperation almost by now. Having that Warp Prism still alive is reasonably nice, though. But like Stardust has just started now his Blink. At 3rd, Nexus is on the way again. We're at 15 minutes. He hasn't been mining off of the 3rd base. That main is going to start mining out soon. And the Hive is on the way for Toodming.
Yeah, and he's like 3 workers oversaturated in his natural. And like his opening was the worst case, but he's still in this game. I mean, when you commit 3 DTs and they do nothing. Oh, and there's going to be a slight skirmish here. The first actually do pretty well.
Yeah, the Lings run under the Colossus. He manages to snap one of them up, and he just still has those 2 in the back. But you know, he never got Thermal Lance. He still doesn't have Colossus range.
Does he notice, or is this intentional? I feel like once you get 2 or 3 Colossus, you need that range, especially against Hydras and Roaches.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a nice spread on this army, but Huck, I think you could definitely tell me, does a Protoss ever intentionally not get Colossus range?
I mean, you could delay it, I guess, just to get more firepower out early. But yeah, I think this is a mistake at this point. And
it's so easy for him to focus on the Colossus.
Yeah, Toodming's going to like trade out here, and he's okay with it. Stardust should at least realize by now.
And it's like, well, his Colossus can't really do too much microing. He manages to keep it alive, but loses quite a bit.
But now we're moving into the next stage, and his Hive's about to finish. He's probably going to get Vipers out, and he still doesn't have range, let alone High Templars or the large gas bank you need to build High Templars and Colossus and Sentries, and you know, he needs to replace the Mothership. There's all these gas units he needs to have, and he just doesn't have it. His Sentry count has been constantly whittled down. he just keeps building Colossus, no range. This is really tough. I mean, like, all in all, Stardust has played okay. Uh-oh. Take. Dennis.
All right. Well, I'll have to wait for that. But all of the things aside, it's been a pretty weird game.
Yeah, but it's like I was saying, Stardust has played okay, considering everything. His macro hasn't been perfect, but all in all, he opened a really risky build, DTs, and the first three DTs that killed like 8 Zerglings or something. That is not what you're looking for.
That's not why you open up with Dark Templar.
He did absolutely no damage. The Toodming's been sitting on 3 bases, and he's still, you know, in the game. He still can overcome that deficit, but he really, really, really needs to get range. That's the biggest thing. And he needs to get high Templars. He's just always slightly behind tech-wise.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a very rocky start to the match here for Stardust, and it's going to be very difficult, I imagine, to move forward, especially, you know, with what we've already talked about, the upgrades, man. The upgrades. But it looks like we are
back
live again. We're back in the game, Huck.
There's one thing that Stardust is good at, though. It's coming back and taking like these really weird engages, like base trades or really weird situations where the units don't really make sense. And he excels in these kind of wacky games where he is behind or things don't exactly play out normally. He feels very comfortable in those chaotic games. That's how he won DreamHack. That's how he did well at WCS and won WCS as well. So it's possible he can do that. He's one of those players that he feels very comfortable in those situations. So he is behind right now. It's just going to be really hard, and he actually just started up range. This is it, man. That's all he needs. He gets range, he won the game practically.
He's just now realized it. But is it enough? Like, the Vipers are coming out. Before it even
he doesn't even know about the Vipers. He's never had the sentries. He constantly trading out these sentries. He never has the energy to do hallucination. He has a warp prism, but he hasn't really spotted the Vipers yet. And he's not prepared. You know, if you take an engage against 2 or 3 Vipers and you don't see that they have it, you're gonna get your Colossus pulled and you're gonna lose the game. Because gateway units versus Vipers, no bueno, man, no bueno.
Yeah, throws first Blinding Cloud down on the Immortals, picks off 2 of them. Really nice abducts, actually.
Like, at the same time, Toodming's like taking damage at his 3rd base, already lost 10 drones, but if he loses his army, it doesn't matter. Toodming's gonna win the game.
And he's got 38 more Lings on the way. He's continuing to press forward into this. Abducts a Colossus, but still that range upgrade is only halfway done. And I think Toodming just wants to push through and try to kill this. There's no more force fields available for this Protoss army. Just needs to kite back. He does have that Immortal, though.
He's gonna hold, it looks like, if he can micro this Colossus properly. But that range...
Oh, he gets it. And now the Ling Flood comes in from behind. Without the Colossus to anchor against this, the Zerglings are going to do exceptionally well against the Stalkers because he got the +1 melee upgrades as well. He's also getting Overlord drop, Huck.
Yeah, this is something I brought up. I mean, I don't think it's going to play a lot.
For most players, it's considered a mistake to get this upgrade. For Toodming, it's
acceptable.
Yeah.
Acceptable. I don't think it's going to come into play. I mean, Stardust is doing the best he can. He's just microing his Stalkers back. He should be able to hold this push, but the follow-up push, is he going to be able to? Because he doesn't have the big gas bank. Yeah. He's got to replenish those high Templars. He's got to replenish the Colossus, and he just doesn't have the large gas bank to do that. So he's going to hold, and he isn't down too much supply, but it's going to be the follow-up push. And more surprisingly, Toodming this whole time has been upgrading his units a lot more than what you would normally expect from a Zerg player.
He's very well upgraded on this army.
Yeah, what is he, 1-1 on range and melee, and he's getting +2, and he's getting +3 Carapace. That's a really strange path, though, to take on the Zerg upgrade side, especially ZvP.
Well, I mean, you know, those Carapace upgrades benefit everything. Like, yeah, just focus on those, and by having the Ling upgrades, it allows moves like that Flood that he just did following the Colossus snipe to be even more effective.
Yeah, and I'm actually wondering, too, if Stardust is noticing this, that he is upgrading so heavily on all of his units. We're going to have the little Viper pack coming back in here soon, and it's going to be really hard for Stardust to hold this, especially on creep.
And the next wave of Roach Hydra coming in. I mean, I guess not too many Roaches with this army. He's pushing pre-max, but those abducts, like, his clicking must be so precise on those grabs. Both of them pulls them in. That's the backbone of this whole army.
Yeah, the Roaches are going to tank so much, and these Hydras are just going to tear this army apart. And he's just chrono boosting Immortals out, but without High Templar, without Colossus, you don't have the splash.
Yeah. Oh, and these Blinding Clouds force him that he can't even fight on top of the ramp. He has to pull away, so the Hydras can continue to push into these force fields. Abducts.
And the next Immortals just down. They just keep going down. He's actually going to target down the core to stop more Stalker warp-ins. He can fight Zealots all day. He just needs to thin out the Stalker numbers. And he's just killing all the infrastructure. He kills the Robo. That's me. Like, even if this push failed, he knows no Colossus for the next 5-10 minutes maybe.
And he's just waiting. There's the next Blinding Cloud. GG's called. Toodming takes game number 1 against Stardust. And Toodming just kind of, you know, he played his style. That's kind of the feeling that I was expecting from him. He used a very fast, active army, was very aggressive, and it benefited him immensely that Stardust never got his Colossus range.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. I feel like Stardust is a little nervous. He's maybe not comfortable. I mean, like you said, he hasn't been to many tournaments lately. So maybe on top of being slightly rusty, he just isn't used to playing in this situation yet.
Feeling the pressure. Huh?
Yeah, I know he'll get to it at some point, but he needs to get to it pretty quickly. I mean, today, hopefully, if he wants to see Toronto.
Yeah, it's definitely looking like it won't be easy.
Does his jacket actually say Playboy? Oh my god. The style.
Yeah.
The style, man.
He's a god. Toodming. He's been one of the most fun guys to have out here.
Look at this camera work too. Going right up on the Playboy. 10 out of 10. Oh yeah. Great stuff.
Toodming bringing his flair. How you feel about the plain hoodie? You're a plain hoodie kind of guy, huh?
Yeah, I like to wear solid colors. I mean I think I'm a little stylish, but I don't like to be too flashy.
You couldn't pull off Toodming's outfit?
Yeah, like that's me on Halloween or something, man. Like I can't. Not on a normal club day. No, I'll just wear a nice dress shirt. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, we are getting into the lobby for game number 2. It will be played on Expedition Lost. How do you like this map, Fusey? I guess we're gonna do that thing where we talk about the back rocks because it is that important to basically mention it every single game.
Yeah, the vetoes, like I said, were very strange from both players actually. And who is it gonna favor? Because Stardust is the type of guy that will go Immortal All In.
Yeah, and I think like, based on the way that first game played out too.
And yeah, if you're very nervous, you go to like one of those build orders that you do on the ladder all the time. You know, one of those cookie cutter
your
easy builds. You're just
builds.
like, this is an easy build. All I got to do is force field and do my push. You know, there's no like contention afterwards. You have no contingency plan. You just do it, and maybe that's what Stardust will do.
I think based on the mistakes that he made in the attempted, I would say, longer game in game number 1.
Macro slipping, kind of nervous, build didn't play out.
Picking something that he can execute more sharp or sharply enough to have a better chance would probably be ideal.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like something really like Toodming, the build last game was very flashy. A robo into DTs, not doing damage.
And Toodming also saw everything.
Yeah. Having to play from behind, it was really, really tough. But we'll see. Stardust definitely has it. I mean, he's won championships off of those type of builds, Immortal All-Ins, or gateway timing, or those large commitments.
Lots of fun last half.
Bread and butter, baby. That's what we love.
Well, I think for Expedition Lost, it makes a lot of sense. This is a map where there's lots of choke points. You said Toodming, maybe the veto for Vani comes out of the gold base thing. But I
don't see him taking gold base on this map. I just don't see it. I mean, I know nothing about the guy's play, to be honest, because there just isn't that much information on him. But I don't see him. I think he likes playing normal macro games, making a lot of Roaches, Zerglings, Hydra, and then like trying to outplay his opponent, winning engagements.
And I think it makes a lot of sense. Like there's a pretty reasonable number of pathways to run by for counter attacks.
There's rocks you can break down. There's the watchtowers that are easily controlled by Zerg on this map. It's going to be interesting. I think Toodming, if anything, is going to be reacting to Stardust's play on this map. He just wants to get to 3 base. He wants to play another normal macro game, and then it's going to be up to Stardust. Does he want to Immortal All In? Does he want to play like?
Does he want to make it look like he's doing the same thing as last game, but secretly tuck 7 gateways somewhere?
I mean, that's the dream, man. That's what I hope for.
When you're able to warp in that 1 sentry, and as a Zerg player, like watching the Protoss plant the Warp Prism at your ramp and be like, yeah, I know.
It's coming.
I know he's gonna do this. I know he doesn't have anything. That's got to be a good feeling.
Well, for me, it is. I love it. For the Zerg, it's just like frustration.
Yeah, that's one of those things where just you feel helpless sometimes. But the fact that Toodming recognized in the first game that he actually didn't have anything to put behind
and
that
just
first,
keeps droning.
He's not scared. When the first Warp Prism
unafraid.
showed up, just 1 sentry, like he wasn't worried at all.
Yeah, there's like drills just running right by it, not afraid at all.
Yeah, we're just making sure we're going over the settings both again to make sure we don't have to make another pause for sound issues in game number 2, guys. So hopefully you guys are having a nice day. Keep sending your tweets. Hashtag WCS. Let us know what you think about Toodming's baller style.
At Liquid Red.
Is he too flashy for WCS? Let us know your thoughts.
I don't think we can do anything about it, actually.
Is there a rule for looking too cool on camera?
No.
Not that
I played and they didn't say anything, so. Right?
Fair enough.
I'm here, right?
Fair enough, Hawk. It seems we're probably going to have to do a little bit more work on this setup, so I think we're going to just take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have Game 2 ready for you guys. You're watching the World Championship Series Premier League. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the World Championship Series. Season 2 Premier League. We're loaded into game number 2 now. Between these two gentlemen spawning in the southwest position. The teamless Blue Protoss down 0-1 in this best of 3. He's Stardust. And his opponent spawning in the northeast position. Representing Zenith of Origins in China, he is Toodming.
I want to say that spiral at the end. You know, like if we're judging a diving contest, 3 out of 10, to be honest. Flo, I expected better.
I mean, it's only the second group. We've got time.
That's true. She'll work.
We've got time.
Practice makes perfect.
I'm really interested to see his drone's moving out. Does he want a drone scout? Is he worried about is he gonna go for gold? Is he gonna go for gold? He doesn't want 3 out of 10, Huck.
He wants 10 out of 10, please.
Oh, he's taking a weird.
Where's he going?
This drone isn't headed anywhere. Is he he's on a quest?
What do you think, Flo? 3rd or 4th? Show us what you think.
Oh,
Third?
He's on some weird patrol route move here. I don't even. Oh my God!
He's letting the pro pass first.
He's like,
wow.
Oh, that's a high level play. He's like, oh, you've already scout for a gold base? Psych!
And he has the Overlord to see too.
What a great
It's
fake
because
out.
most Zergs actually take the other gold base, whichever is closer to him, but he's taking the more offensive position gold base. And now Stardust is going to be really confused.
That's such a cute, tiny little thing to see, that he hides the drone like that.
And then also Stardust is of course going to think, okay, he took a hatchery, and he's going to initially just check.
He's like, well,
the
I
base
already
he didn't
checked.
check.
He's like, I already checked here.
Yeah, and on top of that, he didn't see a drone move out, so he knows it's already on the map if he did take a proxy hatchery. And that's the weird thing about this map, because at the same time, you have to worry about the hatchery that could go out outside of your
There's
rocks,
several
too.
places where you could put a proxy.
And he already scouted one, so he's like, that's going to be the last place he checks.
So he must be either behind my main base by the rocks, or maybe he took the north gold. But he shouldn't be expecting he shouldn't be expecting his gold.
Now he's checking his back rocks, which would be what I would check first. Now he should check the other gold base.
Where's the hatchery, man?
And then he's finally maybe going to check the actual gold base they took. That was really smart by Toodming. Those little tiny small moments in StarCraft 2 are like what I love about this game.
And now he will finally see this one. So he's like, oh, I mean, I was here earlier.
But it's done. You know, you can't do much at this point. And drones are already going to be transferred. And now what is Toodming going to do? He's got the more aggressive hatchery towards his opponent's base. It puts maybe like 2 or 3 tumors, if you place them correctly from the hatchery, could make it almost connect the creep to his natural.
Yeah, this makes sieging, or at least getting a very offensive forward point set up. And considering Stardust's shakiness in game number 1, what does he need to do? And do you feel like he's able to make whatever play necessary happen to defend? Or is Toodming just going to use this to contain him?
It's really hard to say. It's up to Toodming what option he wants to take here. Because if you're ever a Protoss in this position and you decide to be aggressive and they just pump out Zerglings and Roaches nonstop, it's going to be really hard to do anything, especially when they have that base so close. So it's a tough position. It's really tough for Stardust right now, I feel. He's, of course, going to try to do damage. He's building a Stalker, Mothership, and Zealot, and he's going to try to put on a little pressure, but Zerglings are going to come out. And as long as the Queen can defend against the Mothership, the Zerglings will be able to defend against the Gateway units, of course.
He's targeting the Queen with the Zealot and the Mothership core, so he should be able to kill the Queen. Another one will be out in about 7 or so in-game seconds, so
maybe he can get 1 or 2 drones. Toodming's going to have to build the extract. Oh, he makes it. Barely. Yeah. He's going to have to keep doing this, ferrying little drones across. Wow, just in time.
Well, I mean,
I feel like I'm watching The Matrix. Bullets are flying by his head, and the drones are just...
If you're dressed that well, you better have smooth moves, Hug.
I guess so. And he's going to put on a little Zergling pressure here as well. He could actually lose that Stalker. He might have to build a pylon behind. Oh, no, another Stalker's coming up. He's going to lose that first initial Stalker. And Toodming can get a perfect scout now, or even kill the second Stalker.
This is
really rough
right now.
Yeah, this is really rough already. It's not like, once again, and he's going to get the perfect scout. So he knows exactly what's going on. Kills 2 Stalkers for a few Zerglings, and he still has his gold base up, didn't lose drones. Matrix reloaded.
He's feeling good, that's for sure. His lair is close to finishing. You know, they also keep in mind, like, he gets to see where all the pylons were in the main. There wasn't, like, if he was going to build any extra gateways, there's nothing hidden behind his main, right? So I think I'm all within range of an Overlord scout if he were to push one in, too, no?
Yeah, well, and more, yeah, like, he knows everything that's going on in Stardust's base. And Stardust, what does he see? He just knows he has a gold base, basically. That's all he knows. He doesn't know if, 15 Roaches were going to come knocking on his door.
I mean, he's getting sentries now in a War Prism, so I imagine he's going to try to chuck the deep ball here with a red force
if you
field.
can get that main base, that's a very big way to come back.
That's where all the tech is, right?
Yeah.
All the economy is so far away that it's hard to reinforce.
This Mothership core is being very brave. He's going to lose it if he doesn't micro. Very close. But at the same time...
What about the positioning of this Hydralisk Den, Hug?
I mean, that's smart, right? Because he's going to be assuming that another pause.
Game
Interesting.
Paused.
Yeah.
If Stardust was a foreigner right now, he'd be throwing his keyboard at some staff members. But the Koreans and the Chinese players are a lot more manner. Not such princesses, and I'm saying that as a princess myself.
Understandable, Hug. Understandable. It seems like he's having some sort of video issue, so we'll see how quickly we can get that resolved. But all things aside, still pretty weird.
Yeah, definitely. And the Hydra Den placement is really interesting because, of course, Stardust is going to want to scout initially with the Hallucinated Phoenix, and why would he ever check the top left when he has to check 2 gold bases and the main base as well? It just doesn't... It's not going to be somewhere he checks. And Toodming's in really good control right now of this map.
Yeah, it's definitely, I feel, an uphill battle just based on what he was able to do with that handful of Zerglings too. We're going to start the game back up, and we're now counting down back into it, resuming. And something that you mentioned earlier, Huck, as we will see when we go back in, is the creep spread is so close.
Yeah,
to
it's
the
already,
natural
it's almost,
expansion.
yeah. Once these creep tumors finish, it's practically going to be touching the ramp of Stardust's base. This is really bad. This is really bad.
Yeah, he
and
has
of
the
course,
lair too.
here comes the hallucination. What is he going to check? He's going to check 1 gold base, 2 gold base, and main base, and he's not really going to see anything. If he even sees that, he's never going to check the top left for a Hydra Den. But at the same time, does that change much? Shouldn't you already presume it's going to be Hydras? I guess he needs to know Mutas, because he sees a bunch of Zerglings, and as soon as you see a lot of Zerglings as a Protoss player, you know it's either going to be Hydras or it's either going to be Mutas, and you need to know though. You know, if you're making Immortals, if you're making Warp Prisms, and he comes out with Mutas, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. But at the same time, if you start building Phoenixes and it's...
Well, are Hydras okay versus this still too, though?
Hydras are good, as long as there's no Colossus. Hydras are very good.
So the Immortals, he's expecting Roaches then?
I guess. I just feel like he doesn't think the Colossus will come out in time, you know? Because as time goes on, as he ramps up these 2 gold bases, he's going to be on like 3 or 4 bases almost. Like he's going to have a lot less drones, but his economy is going to reflect that of 3 bases. And that means he's going to have a lot more army. And that's going to be really hard for Stardust to contend with, especially when he's sitting on 2 base.
The fact that pushing out of his base will have him on creep instantly it's got to be pretty scary for a Protoss, right, Huck?
Yeah, it's going to come down to force fields. And right here, this is what Stardust needs to do. If he can pick off, you know, 4 or 5 Hydras at a time, lose nothing.
Yeah, this seems a bit overzealous of Toodming, to be honest. Like, does he actually need to attack Stardust at all in this position?
He really doesn't. If he could just ramp up and saturate his 2nd gold base, he would be in pretty good shape. This is pretty much the only way he could lose. He does have Colossus coming out. He does have 1 or 2 Immortals. If he could shave off a few more Hydras, if Toodming's a little too aggressive, then of course Stardust can push out. He can use force fields to his advantage. He can use those Colossus, and he can use the range that he's actually getting this game to do a lot of damage.
Colossus is taking a bit of paint damage there. Don't want to get too close to those Hydralisks before that range, that ever so important range upgrade is ready.
In the paint. He has options. It just comes down to the engagement, and it comes down to how much damage Stardust can do. But Toodming's in good position. He can set up a nice little concave at the bottom of his ramp as long as he doesn't keep losing units.
He's actually been picking off sentries too, though. There's not a crazy amount of force fields. And he's just going to target the Cybernetics Quake. He is so brave to just do this right in the face of Colossi with Hydralisks.
Yeah, because if he gets them force filled in, but he is picking off the sentries, and at the same time he's warping in Zealots.
And that +1 attack makes these Zealots so strong against these Lings.
Yeah, and he's going to do a good amount of damage, even just pulling the drones.
Yeah, he's cleaned house. The main base is forfeit right now.
And all of
bring a whole army back.
And all of a sudden we see that they're even in supply. Not only that, because Toodming has those 4 gold bases, his creep is at Stardust's base, but he can't get these Hydras back fast enough because there's no creep between his main and those gold bases.
Yeah. Oh, he's so close. He gets the lair.
He gets
now,
the lair.
Keep in mind that Spire is still going to finish. Toodming does not have the craziest amount of gas banked up, though, as he was only mining his gas from that main and one of his gold bases. He doesn't have gas on the other gold.
Oh, very
now the
smart.
Colossi can hit this mineral line from
Yeah,
below.
and he kills the rocks so he can't get flanked. So he knows all of Zerg's units have to come from that one right side, and he just uses the range from the Colossus to harass his base. And now all of a sudden, Toodming, 1 base. He might be up in supply, he might have, you know, the slightly better tech, and he's building Corruptors, but he's on 1 base. And look how far these drones have to go to ferry these minerals.
Would you say Corruptor's right move in this position?
Yeah. I feel like you need something to contest the Colossus, but Stardust definitely in a commanding position right now. He knows his opponent's on 1 base. It could be a gold or not, but it's still only 1 base.
Yeah, income is strongly favoring our Protoss player at this point in time. I mean, the Hydras and Lynx, I imagine, can clean up most everything except for the Colossi. But are there enough? Is 6 Corruptors enough? There's 4 of them.
No, that's not enough, especially because the Stalker count is so high. It's just going to be a matter of time here, but Stardust really showing a lot of patience. He's taking his time. He's building up his army. He's scouting with hallucination, and he knows he's in a commanding position. He doesn't really need to force the issue right now. He's only on 1 base, and Stardust can easily take a 3rd base. He can push out at the same time. You know, he just wants to rely on force fields and his Colossus to shave off units. The only way he could really fall far behind now is if he took a really bad engagement.
Yeah, he's continuing to pump out Stalkers at home. He's prepared. If that Spire was used for Mutalisks, he would already be in a position to defend against it. The Blink is coming in, +2 attack. All of the things that he needs to take a commanding fight later on. Toodming is not really focused on that natural expansion at all, Huck. He's going for what would normally be, I guess, a third base now.
Yeah, I don't really get this either. Like, maybe he just feels like maybe Stardust won't attack if he doesn't show. Yeah, he shows that he's not being too greedy. Maybe Stardust. I mean, Stardust is up 10 supply and he's fighting against Hydras.
Yeah, this army doesn't look killable, to be honest. There's nowhere near enough Corruptors to deal with this.
He's gonna wait for his Corruptors to reinforce and then take an engage, but the creep's getting cleaned up. He's gonna be forced into a choke too. If he takes that engage at his gold base, it's gonna be too small, and he's gonna be forced into taking more and more splash damage from these Colossus. So ideally, he wants to engage on this right side where there's more creep, and he can set up a concave. Because if he's forced to take the engage where his hatchery is, it's gonna act as a natural force field, and it's gonna funnel all of his units.
And he recognizes that.
He's already forfeiting the base. I mean, as a professional player, at some point you got to make a stand. You got to realize that just sacrificing and just burning, you know, the farms as you run away.
The Scorched Earth policy.
You can't do that at this point. You're gonna just fall farther behind. That works sometimes, but sacking a base like this when he's already on only 2 base and it's a gold base he's losing, and he's just giving up ground. He's giving up all this creep, and he's gonna be forced into even another choke.
He's gonna lose his spawning pool again too, by the way.
Yeah.
So no more queens, no more lings.
Like, Toodming at this point is just banking, okay, I'm going to take a really sick engagement, and hopefully I'll be able to crush his army and come back into this game. But
I mean, that's the dream, but
that's
I don't know.
the dream. And even if he took a good engagement, Stardust's army is just huge. And Stardust isn't even going to give him that opportunity, it seems. He's still going to take a decent to advantageous fight.
With +2 and Blink, he still has a crazy amount of micro opportunities. He's going to dive on top of this army right now. The Corruptors move forward, pick off 1 Colossus. Now, the Colossi trying to run behind this army. He does pick off the second one. He goes for 3. Only 1 remains, but there's enough gateway units left over to pick off all the ground forces.
Yeah, and he didn't try to micro back. He didn't try to kite against the Corruptors, and he didn't need to.
Yeah, he had enough forces. All the resources that went into the Corruptors, it's like, well, the Corruptors actually can't do anything against all those Stalkers anyway. So
yeah, he didn't have enough meat with those Corruptors, but interesting game. Toodming was like the initial little gambit to give him a slight advantage, but Stardust playing very patient, and Toodming being a little too aggressive at the ramp, losing a little too many, like, what, maybe 10 Hydras all in all, and then that Warp Prism doing
really, like, if he was locked down, like if he just left a couple Hydralisks back there to even just like 1 or 2 patrolling to just push away
the Warp Prism, not make
or another creep tumor in his main just to have vision.
He saw the Zealots. He saw 1 at the edge, but I don't think he knew. You know, Stardust was really patient. He didn't go with initial 4 or 5. He went 10, 12, and with +1.
And yeah, but the +1 was definitely key there. He annihilated those Zerglings. This wasn't this was not like the first game in terms of upgrades.
Right on the edge. He hides it a little bit. He's right on the edge and he warps in.
Tough cookies for Toodming in this position. He did a really good amount of pressure. I really liked the way that he was able to open up and take both gold bases without being contested. But, you know, I think you said it best. Chris was just not able to defend the main base from the harass. Because if he doesn't lose the main and he's able to get all that tech and still have that economy, then you think he's able to defend the 2-base push?
Yeah. It's possible for sure, especially with the Spire coming up and everything. And just like, as you can see, the Zealots with +1, they're going to shred through Zerglings, even in Brood War. These are Brood War players. They should know this. The old Team Liquid strategy, what I think was called the Zergling burner. You get +1, Zealots fought the same way that they do in this game. You take 1 less swipe from Zealots, and you're going to cut through those Zerglings very quickly with +1. And it just kind of spiraled out of control.
Yeah, he just, like, all these lings run in, just
it was worse too, because as you can see, the main to the gold bases, there's no creep. He has all that aggressive creep in the front.
And these Hydras move so slow.
Yeah, but the Warp Prism just kind of negates that. You know, he's able to get those units, and these Hydras are going to take forever to get back into the main base.
Yeah, losing all of this tech really sets him far behind. And that's a game-winning move right there from Stardust. Really, really impressive to see that. The third map we're going to be playing this series on will be Iron Fortress. Have you played a lot of PvZs on this map?
Played a good amount. It's still, I feel like the vetoes in this series have been a little strange, a little unique, but I'm glad I'm going to get to see this. It's a very open map in the center. Doesn't have the big Zerg decal.
Ah, yes, in the dead
So,
zone.
I mean, Toodming's going to probably win, right?
Yeah, that's true. That big Zerg logo in the center of the map, I think, is the key factor
Like
to determine who could win.
Yeah, all of his army is going to fight a little bit harder, knowing that
They've
they
got the
have moral
morale
support.
They've got that morale boost ability, right?
So it'll be interesting to see, but it's a very big map. The third base is a little further, and then on top of that, your main base is
main base is massive.
Yeah, pretty big.
So at the very least, that can help later on if the Warp Prism plate comes back into it. Covering all that ground can be a bit tricky. Either way, we are now loaded in to game number 3 of our first best of 3 of the day here. You're watching Group B of the World Championship Series Premier League. And this is Iron Fortress spawning in the bottom left position as the blue Protoss player. We have the teamless player. He is Stardust. And his opponent in the northeast corner of the map, representing Zenith of Origins, he is Toodming.
Stardust already showing that he's a little bit calmer in game 2. I mean, he wasn't super aggressive. He just kind of defended, and then after defending, counterattacking with the Warp Prism and showing that he can play a reactionary defensive style and win games. Completely different than the first game, where he went for a unique build order and then it ended up not working out.
That's true. I think the other thing to take into consideration is so many Zerg players these days, especially at the top level, are utilizing the gold bases in almost every ZvP that it's something, if you're starting to practice more on ladder, like all the, it's going to be like, oh, well, maybe I can get quick one-offs with this, and a lot of people on ladder will follow the top trends like that. So Stardust might even be getting more practice against gold-based strategies than the normal stuff these days.
That's very true. He does play, now he's living on the East Coast, so I assume he's playing a lot of EU ladder and an A ladder.
Yeah.
Lately, at least.
Well, have you noticed it in your games that a lot of Zergs do these gold-based builds on ladder, or?
Yeah, for sure. It's a trend in all regions, but I feel like especially in the EU ladder, it's something they abuse more and more. It's a strange fact between the Korean ladder and the EU ladder. Snoot really stylized the swarm host thing, and Koreans, although they're very mechanically good, they do fall behind a little bit in the meta. They weren't so good at that swarm host style because they didn't know the static defenses position that Snoot did. He didn't, like Jaedong, I remember seeing him play on heavy rain and stuff. He didn't make any spines. So they do fall a little bit behind in the meta sometimes in those weird styles.
And it's something that the trends in terms of finding better ways to optimize those strategies comes out of a lot of those very smart European players. Toodming goes straight up to 3 bases. Feeling pretty confident. It's cross spawns.
Yeah, well, he doesn't know that, but no, he will soon enough. But he does go for the greedier opener, and as long as you don't see like a cannon rush coming or something, you should be good. And opening up on Forge, where there's a 4-player map, it's a big commitment because you basically have to send out 2 probes if you want to guarantee a quick enough cannon rush to stop hatchery first, and it paid off. He opened Gateway, he's got Zealot, he doesn't have a Forge. He throws on a Nexus behind it, and he's in good position. So now, when Toodming finally scouts this, he's going to kind of think, okay, I got to watch out for maybe like a Gateway timing, just because he does get that quicker core.
And Stardust still has to scout all of this. I think when he sees the spawning pool just finishing, he should know. It should be clear to him, right? As a Protoss, this is the kind of thing that you keep an eye open for?
Yeah, he should know that it's 3 hatchery, and then on top of that, he sees no gas yet, so he knows, if he makes that Stalker, he can push it out on the map, harass a little bit, scalp. He
doesn't have to worry about any type of counter.
Yeah, just worry about like slight pressure and not worry about like 15, 20 Zerglings running into his natural. And he you can see that reflected in his play because he's not even bothering to really start walling off his natural yet.
I think that makes a lot of sense. He's also moved that first Zealot out again, just like he did against the gold base on Expedition Lost. The probe sees the 3rd hatchery, so he knows the base placement as well. It takes a little bit of time to get the creep spread to that 3rd from the natural expansion.
Yeah, the bases are quite spread apart on this map, but he should have it by time it matters, and he's going to just poke with the Zealot, poke with the Stalker, try to kite these Zerglings. Kind of weird, wonky pathing comes through that middle. Whenever you scout or you attack across the map, sometimes it goes and dips into that towards that watchtower in the middle. But he does get 2 Zerglings, so he should be able to scout a decent amount of what Stardust is doing, and at the same time Stardust is just doing slight pressure, and he's continuously building out Stalkers. It feels like he's going to do some gateway pressure off of this.
Oh, he's already revving up 2 more behind this, Huck. I think you're onto something here.
I can feel it in my bones.
Is this when you would throw down more gateways?
Yeah, of course.
When would you stop? Well, he's taking gases.
Never, Nathanius. Not until I see 8, 8, 8. gateways, and then I'd be happy.
The Ocho gateway push.
ESPN Ocho. But Toodming at the same time should know this is coming. I mean, he sees it with the Overlord. He sees 2 or 3 Stalkers making. He should know what's up, but he's still droning.
I mean, the Stalkers are getting ready to push.
And Warp Gate's going to be done soon enough.
Without creep spread, especially, like unless the Lings somehow catch him, the Stalkers can kind of
they can
play.
just keep
They
fighting.
can play with these Lings all day.
And that's the strength of this build and getting those early Stalkers. Toodming finally making 14 Zerglings behind it, but will it be soon enough? And he doesn't have speed. He actually opts for the quicker layer. This is interesting.
Wow, he's
showing
no fear.
Yeah, he feels confident that he can hold no matter what. And he's going to sack this Overlord to scout and see absolutely nothing, which tends to lead to think more of...
It's actually so crazy because if he had done the Ocho Gateway build, I think he would have just crushed him.
Yeah, of course. And at the same time, Toodming feels a little safer now because he sees those 3 Sentries warp in at home. And he is going to lose that proxy pylon. So aggression for Stardust is off the table now.
Yeah.
And I feel like Toodming kind of won that opener.
Yeah, he's gotten away with everything he wanted to do. He went 3 hatch to 4 pool and rushed lair. Like he was. I feel like that's a reasonably greedy way to start off against Protoss.
I don't know how he knew about this because he saw the pylon going down with his Overlord. He saw the 2 or 3 Stalkers, and then he was like, you know what? Let's throw down a layer. Let's drone some more.
He's like, I'm not really worried about a big gate.
Called
it's not
it out.
happening.
Yeah. So he does finally get speed, and he's getting the Carapace, so he's just going into his normal upgraded style. And it's really interesting that he always opens with the Carapace and leans towards getting those upgrades quicker than melee or range. And Stardust just doing, his normal macro. He's getting Blink, he's getting his 3rd base, and he's probably going to try to do another pressure with, those sentries that are already banking energy, and then he's going to add Stalkers and try to attack with Blink.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. 36 more Zerglings being added in as Zergling speed gets closer and closer to finishing up. They're nice, very active force. Fan out his Lings, look around the map, make sure there's no proxy pylons.
And then probably Hydralisk.
Yeah, the Hydra Den is done. He's just now started to research Hydralisk range. I think I'm like after the last game, like really hoping we eventually get that reasonably quick Hydra speed too.
Yeah, because the distances between these bases are pretty far. It's across map and all. And he's going to try to cancel this Nexus. He's not going to get it, and he doesn't want to lose all these Zerglings.
Ooh, really nice force fields. Gets all of these trapped in here. Shaves off almost half of the Lings of his force.
Good amount, and he loses nothing. He only has to burn 4 or 5 force fields, which is worth it, I feel.
Yeah, 29 Lings killed, and he's only lost a single Zealot this game. Pretty impressive. His Blink is getting closer to finishing. He's been chronoing on that Forge.
Yeah, I
no
feel like Stardust is probably going to push out. I mean, from this position, it'd be really hard for Toodming to move up that right side ramp. It only takes, what, two or three force fields, and then you can block it off. And then at the same time, if he wants to run up the middle...
Oh, Zealot not hold position? He slips through. Wow, I'm actually really impressed that he wasn't able to get more in.
Yeah, Stardust noticed very quickly despite his initial response, and now these Zerglings are just trapped, and Stardust continues to, dwindle down Toodming's army without really losing that much. I think he lost 1 probe there, didn't lose any army units, and now he's going to push out. Oh, he's a little caught off guard. Half his army split up the ramp, and he's going to lose a good amount of sentries here, 3 or 4.
No, those Hydras actually coming out of nowhere, decking him.
Yeah, he should still be okay, just because the reinforcement time it takes to come from across the map is
it's still
too
tricky.
long.
He doesn't have Hydra speed. It's only now just started, so if he gets caught off, he doesn't have that much ability to retreat. The creep spread is, much as he's pushing it forward, it's nowhere near close to this army.
And Stardust has a lot of options. He can always just blink back. He can always just force field. But if Toodming takes a bad engagement, he's out there. There is no retreat path. He will lose his whole army. And that's what Stardust is doing. He's just playing with him right now, trying to shave off units without losing anything, blinking back to the safety of his sentries that are sitting at his 3rd base.
Yeah, if he tries to push that ramp, he's just going to get completely annihilated. And the Stalkers continue to kill many Zerglings. He put a few Hydras towards that wall to try to be annoying here. If he could pick up the Zealot off, maybe try to run Lings through.
Yeah, but realistically, he just doesn't have enough. Yeah, and he's just constantly losing Zerglings. You can see on the battleground all those dead little bugs burnt out on the ground.
Now, he did pick off the pylon in the wall, so he could try to split some Zerglings. To actually surround some of these sentries, not bad. Force fields away as some of the Hydras, but doesn't actually completely block everything. Now it's just Stalkers versus the Ling Hydra, and this changes things a little bit because he's got the reinforcements coming in from the east side.
Oh, and he blinks all of his units. That means if these Zerglings or Hydras can't get on top of it, and Stardust is just retreating back into Zerg reinforcement, so he's constantly getting battered down by these Hydralisks.
Now this is really, really nice for Toodming. He's able to push this army away from most of the possible reinforcement points. This pylon on the high ground is actually super useful. to keep this army alive as he can move back towards Stalkers that have hit points, and Blink's on top of the isolated force on the left side. And I guess he's just playing ring around the rosy, trying to get back to his main base.
Yeah, he's eventually going to get there, but honestly, this was a little sloppy of an engagement for Stardust, considering how big of an advantage he could have had.
Yeah, and he's banking a lot of resources during all this, warping in just Stalkers without enough gas income to actually support that.
And Toodming's just going to continuously stream in Hydras and Zerglings, but can he break him? I feel like if Stardust wouldn't have lost so many sentries, there would be no question here, but with just Stalkers, Zerglings do a pretty good job of actually tanking, just because they're such small units and Stalkers' volleys aren't, they do overkill a lot.
Yeah, that's a really good point to bring up. The Zerglings are coming from the right side too. He's brought a queen. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, his creep spread is pretty close, but that queen has been adventurous.
Bertha, I don't know why Bertha's there. Bertha the queen.
No one invited you. Working on the wall now, too. Still, once again, breaking it open. He always has the option now to run Lings through there. He's going to try to take another big fight against this army.
Lings are good. And it's just, like, Toodming, if he commits too much, if he goes too early, he's going to lose his whole army.
Yeah, this Stalker ball is getting massive. Stardust, who's almost floating 2,000 minerals, like, okay, add some more gateways. I need to burn this money.
Bertha doing your job, dropping those creep tumors. But if Toodming can wait until he has enough Hydras, he can definitely push into this. But as of right now, he can't. And he doesn't have the creep. He doesn't have the reinforcements to do so. And Stardust just keeps trying to shave down those units.
Without a robo, Stardust can't clean up these creep tumors either. So this is a nice forward setup for Toodming as he grabs another couple Stalkers trying to retreat.
Strange blink. He blinked back, and then he just blinked 4 or 5 into Bertha.
Yeah. Don't mess with Bertha, man. These Hydras are actually focusing on the natural expansion. He's really forcing
And now he's going to be forced into a bad engagement. With these Zerglings flanking, he's going to lose probes. And now he's like gave up his third base position. And it's a lot harder to blink back at your natural because he's getting forced into this choke.
He's going to be choked. And not all of his Stalkers will be able to fire at once in this position.
And the Hydras, on the other hand, have this very, very nice concave. The Zerglings are going to tank, and the Hydra's DPS is just going to chew through these Stalkers.
Yeah, he's just slaughtering this army right now. Many more Lings and Hydras rallied on the map. And Stardust, with 3,000, close to 3,000 minerals in the bank, could be tapping out in this series.
Chrono Boost at his main base, Chrono Boost at his natural, Chrono Boost at his third base. He just...
Some of his gateways never turned into warp gates either.
Yeah, if he had all that money into army, he could have crushed this force and probably won the game. But Toodming senses weakness. Goes for the jugular.
He put so much pressure on, he was able to ramp things up towards the end of that game. And Toodming will take the first series of the day here.
Stardust doesn't look happy at all.
No, that's, well, I mean, you said it. You said it yourself perfectly, Chris. You know, for us, it was not the cleanest play to start the day.
Drink it from a straw, too. Stylish.
Classy. Everything that Toodming does has style written all over it. Let's be real.
That's pain in Stardust's eyes.
It was a pretty rough series, to say the least. He did a good job of holding the gold base push on the second
Game 2,
map.
he seemed very calm, collected, cool. And Game 1 and Game 3, he just looked really shaky. I mean, Game 1, it was like 10 minutes in, he had 1.6k, and then Game 3, he had, what, 2.6k at the end? 3k?
Yeah, he was pushing 3,000.
I mean,
you said it, all the Chrono Boosts on the Nexus, too.
Yeah, and they were constantly fighting back and forth, but at the same time, Toodming was on top of it. He was taking his fourth base, he was saturating.
Hitting ejects.
Yeah, everything like that. Even bringing Bertha to drop those creep tumors, and Stardust, I don't know. We're going to have a talk.
You're going to have a talk with him?
No, of course. He's a good friend.
All right, fair enough. It's a nice victory for Toodming to take a good start in this series. You were saying earlier you like Toodming in this group. I like Toodming and 4GG in this group quite a bit. But it's got to be a good feeling to come in here. You come all the way from China and you take your first series against a Korean player, and he's now one series away from winning. I imagine most likely end up playing against 4GG. Do you think you can take him out? That's a tough one.
I feel like 4GG is going to stomp this group, to be honest. He's just... I think he's, you know, as a player, you want to be, like, not nervous or confident. Yeah. And 4GG coming into this group, knowing that he's the strongest player, he's already got that confidence. I think he's already, you know, he thinks he's made it out of the group, too. So I think he's going to blaze through.
So I think that opens the potential for a rematch, then, that we could end up seeing between Stardust and Toodming if Stardust is able to recover in the loser match. Who might, you know... It's not like I want to like completely downplay the hype of this group, but 4GD is so strong. We do have to consider the possibility that Stardust will more than likely play against Sen in the lower match.
Oh, we can say it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say it.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. So Stardust has to pick that PVZ back up basically if he wants to get out of this group. We're going to hear some thoughts now from Toodming, who's on the main stage with Smix.
Thank you very much, Nate. Congratulations, Toodming, on starting your day off with a victory, 2-1 over Stardust. I'm going to jump into that game too real quick because you were in a good position in that game and then you decided to be very aggressive with your Hydralisks and then you lost your main base to Zealots, and I'm wondering why did you decide to choose to be so aggressive with your Hydralisks in that situation?
就是说第二局的时候，你一开始处于一个很优势的地位，然后你用你的刺蛇不断的攻击他，但是他也用就是冷静折月的叉子来把你的主基地打爆了。然后想问问你，为什么你在第二局选择一个这么有进攻性的打法？
其实我就是故意开黄金矿让他来 all in 我，可是我没有想到他竟然打防守，就是打防守反击。
So he is doing the gold base to make Stardust. He want to make Stardust aggressive to attack him, but he didn't realize that Stardust actually chose a defensive way to defend this attack.
Alright, well, it still turned out in your favor because you were able to win that last game. After winning this game, you're going to be playing the winner of either Sen or 4GG. I know that earlier you said that you think all the players are strong players, but do you have a player you would rather play up against?
就是说，你下一场要对阵 Sen 或者 4GG 的胜者，然后这两者呢都是非常强的选手。就是你对这两者有没有什么偏好，或者你更愿意碰到谁，或者更不愿意碰到谁这样？
我个人觉得 4GG 是比较优秀的，我比较喜欢有挑战性的，所以我希望是4个。
So in his own opinion, he's saying the 4GG is better, and he wants more challenge, so he want to play with 4GG.
Wow, extremely confident words from Toodming. Well, we'll see who you're able to play up against. My last question for you is mainly you're a player that plays over in China, and I know you've played in WCS Premier League before, but it's still very rare for us to see you here in America. So what's it like to be back here after playing in China for so long?
就是说，你之前大部分时间都在中国国内打比赛，然后虽然你以前也来过这边，但对他们来说，你还是一个就说是，很少会过来的这样一个状态。就是想问问你，这回重新回到这里之后，跟中国有什么区别？
这个是世界最顶级的舞台，这边就是会有很多观众，会激起我的斗志和我的求胜欲。
He's saying here is the one of the most best stage in the world, and he has more people is watching him and more challenge player. So it makes him want to win, much more want to win in this champion.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Toodming, and congratulations again on winning your first match. Our next match will be 4GG and Zen, but before we get there, I have a little bit of an announcement for you guys. If you missed out on the first wave of sales for our Season 2 finals in Toronto, we do have another wave available now, so if you missed out, make sure to check that out, and we'll be back after this break.
I move objects with my mind. I climb the tallest mountains and slay dragons. I defend my galaxy from ruthless aliens. I am never bored. I am stronger. I am faster. I am G1.